Okay, I'm going to ask you all to withdraw your concentration from inside of yourself because I just gave you a video about going within yourself. And now I want you to focus on the screen because I'm going to give you something and you need to pay attention to me. Okay, so what we're going to talk to you about is global awakening. And last week I made a video about this and I called it popcorn. And it is basically a big change in consciousness. And if you hear a big change in consciousness, you're going, what does that mean, Bob? We don't know each other. I don't just mean you, because, you never met me. I'm just a guy that's here, on social media or whatever. But among your own people, your friends don't really know you. Your parents don't really know you. If you have children, they don't really know you. If you spend a lot of time with people, do you really know them? No. What you might really know about people you spend a lot of time with, or if you watch me all the time, every day you came and watched my videos, what you get to know is what? You get very used to what people portray in their outside. Pets are very good at understanding you on the inside. Humans, not so much. Humans see your ego. They see what, if you're going to work and they say, well, dress professionally and act professionally, that's what people will see of you. But they won't know anything what's really going on in your life. And they don't care. But with the enormous change in consciousness that is starting, you are going to find that people who you thought you knew, you're going to go, I don't know you at all. I thought I had you. I thought I really understood you. You're not the person that I thought I knew. And it's going to be I don't know what it's going to be. Because it's coming. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. But I don't know how it's going to be. Is it a good change? Yes, it's going to be very good change. Is it going to be an easy change? Not at the beginning. Not at the beginning. At the beginning, it might have some really lovely moments, and it might have some really difficult times. Because the people who are having this giant leap in consciousness first are going to be meeting a lot of people who haven't made the jump in consciousness. And there's going to be a great disconnect. But as you come across other people who have made this jump in consciousness or who are in process of making the jump in consciousness, you are going to really enjoy it. And once a great majority of the people have made this enormous jump in consciousness, I don't know what it's going to be like. I really don't know what it's going to be like, but the potential is for it being incredibly exciting. Incredibly exciting. The potential is for it to be something we can't imagine right now. But anytime you get this enormous jump in consciousness, we're going to see great change. What we just thought of was the change from the Middle Ages into the Renaissance in Europe. And we don't really understand Middle Age. We don't understand Renaissance, other than Renaissance was incredible art. And I think Middle Age things are downplayed. I don't think they were as dark. They called them the Dark Ages. I don't think they were as dark as people portray them to be. But, we seem to be told that we went from the Dark Ages to the Renaissance, and it was an incredibly more vibrant society. And that's what we're looking at, going from our recent Dark Ages, and I would say even now we're in a very dark age, to a Renaissance. I can hardly wait for it to happen, because the Dark Ages are dragging on far longer than is comfortable. What's going to prompt these great changes in consciousness for people It's most likely going to be like an alarm clock. An alarm clock, and the alarm clock's going to go on and on and on. Because people aren't going to know how to turn the alarm clock off. And it's probably not going to sound like an alarm clock. But the alarm clock is going to keep doing its alarm, whatever that alarm appears to be to people. I don't know. It's very difficult for me to tell when people have heard the alarm clock go off within themselves. Because I don't think too many people that I know have had that alarm clock go off. There's been people who had the alarm clock go off a long time ago. And I do know of these people. But there's an enormous majority of people who haven't had the alarm clock go off yet. And when the alarm clock does go off for these people, I still don't know what's going to happen for people when the alarm clock goes off. For some people, it might be the alarm clock goes off, but nothing much is really actively happening for these people. It's going to be a long process. Other people are going to have their world become topsy-turvy in one day, and one day everything is going to change. In one day, some event is going to happen in their lives, and in one day the world will never be the same. And it's not going to be, some enormous worldwide thing that you watch on the news. No. It's going to be very personal for that person. It won't be on the news. It'll be something personal for them. And it's going to make their whole world change. And because of whatever the event is, all kinds of things that people might call their core beliefs about reality are going to become invalid in one day. All kinds of beliefs invalid in one day. Which means, after that one day event, people are going to just find that the things that kept them going the way they were for so long are totally unimportant and total waste of time. People's values are going to change in one day. And then it's going to be a bit of a process to unload all the stuff that's in people's life. It doesn't work anymore for them. And, the more stuff that people have, I don't know. The metaphysical writer Stuart Wilde talked about it. When these things happened to him, he had a thriving business. And one day, he walked out the door of the business. He probably didn't even lock the door. He got on a plane and he flew away. He didn't stick around to sell the business. He didn't stick around to collect all the bills. He didn't stick around to talk to the landlord about, he wasn't coming back again. One day, he walked out the door, got in a plane, never went back. He didn't give 2 weeks' notice. Everything changed for him just like that. For me, it happened to me a number of times. On the spur of the moment, I just left things. Just left them. I had no choice in the matter. At the beginning of when my alarm clock was ringing, I had some choice. I had to mull things over in my mind. But as time went on, no longer was I having to mull things over to decide, do I do this or do that? These things just happened. I couldn't stop them. It was like, the train's here, the train picked me up, and the train took me away. And that's what's going to happen for a lot of people. Maybe in the beginning it's going to be, I've got so much money invested in all these things. I gotta, get my money out of it first before I do this. Maybe for some people that's what they're going to do is, try and exit their all the stuff that they got. But for some people, in that one day, they're going to be like Stuart Wilde and they're just going to walk out the door and not even bother looking back to see if the door's shut. That's what an enormous change of consciousness will do. Someone wants to know, is it scary? It can be very liberating at first, especially at the beginning of your alarm clock phase when it first starts going off. It can be very liberating because you might find that there's some things that you really don't like to do, but you feel like you have to do them, and you might cut yourself loose from them. And then you might find maybe a few years later that maybe life isn't as easy as it sounded like it was going to be. Because this change in consciousness is going to make you face the old world. And if you're one of the people at the beginning of this great change, this great awakening, the rest of the world hasn't woken up to it yet. And you're ready. You're ready for everything to change. You want it to change now. And for all of the rest of the people, they haven't had their alarm clock go off yet. And they think you're, they're not going to follow you. And the world as it is, with the unawakened people, is very unfriendly, unforgiving. It's unawake. And it can be very hard for the people who have had their awakenings. So if you're part of the leading edge of the Great Awakenings, is it fear and trepidation? It's going to test you. It's going to stress you. But it's going to promote your growth. Because you're going to have to let go of your anxiety, fears, and concerns about what other people think of you. You're going to have to let it all go. And consciousness might shake you greatly. Shake you so much that you have to let go. You have to let go. There is no way that you can hold on. Because when consciousness starts shaking you, there's nothing to hold on to. But you will grow. And you will survive. And you will continue your awakening. There's a lot of people on the planet, the unawake, who don't want to grow. They haven't grown since they were in puberty. That was the last thing. These people, when their alarm clock goes off, are really going to have forgotten what it's like for major changes in their life. I don't know what's going to happen for them. Because when your life becomes topsy-turvy, you're not going to be able to go to anybody who can really fix it. You might come to somebody else who's had an awakening, who might tell you, my awakening shook the hell out of me. And they're going to say, I don't want to tell you it's going to be okay, but because for me, it wasn't okay for a very long time, years. There's nothing I can do to help you other than tell you I went through an enormous shaking from consciousness. Enormous shaking. It shook my reality up so much that I just had to keep letting go. And letting go becomes the only advice I can give to you that's going to work for you is just let go. Let go of everything. Because if you try and hold on to it, it's going to make things very uncomfortable. So don't let go. Don't let go. Don't let go. Well, if you try that, you try to hold on, most people probably will debate holding on. from time to time, and things will happen to you that will force you to let go. And what I mean let go? Well, it's just that you have so many beliefs and you have so much stuff that's holding you to the unawakened state. And it's gonna go. It's gonna go. Are you ever gonna get past the point where the universe shakes you? No. No. You're going to become a wanderer. That is someone who doesn't know what you're going to do 10 minutes from now. You're not going to know what you're going to be doing next year. You're going to give up planning your life. And you're going to wander. You might settle down in some place, but you're never going to know how long you're going to be there. If someone asks you, how long are you going to be staying here? You're going to look at them and go, I don't know. I don't know. If I'm not here in the morning, it means I got up in the middle of the night and I caught a cab and I don't know where I went, but, just assume that I just left and don't be worried about me. It's just, that's the way I am. I'm unpredictable. When are all these awakenings going to happen? Well, I keep wanting to say I think it's going to happen among the younger people. Because I seem to see a lot more younger people on YouTube that have had their alarm clocks go off. I don't see a lot of old timers like me or, gray-haired people having these awakenings. Don't see it. And I think some of the people that are older have had their alarm clocks go off, but they haven't been shook yet. I see people who kind of get the memes. They get the information and they forward the memes. But when I look into the way they're living, they're not following the memes. They know what the words are, but they don't experience it in their life. They're still very much asleep. So it's not like the information's not out there. It's out there. People have seen it, but they're not living it. And I don't think people are going to choose to live that way. Because they're so deeply, I always say, brainwashed by the old way of doing things. And you don't really know what to do. But sooner or later, consciousness or the universe will come and grab you by the balls if you're a man. And there ain't going to be any way you're going to escape when this happens. And there might be times when you feel like it's unfair, probably quite a bit. But there's no stopping it. There's no stopping it. It's going to happen. And you better get used to saying, I surrender. Because you can't fight it. For some people, they might start having the ascension symptoms, and they might spend a lot of time going back and forth to the doctor. I don't know. Maybe some people are going to have these one-day awakenings, and they're going to say, I don't want the doctor anymore. And then they're going to have to deal with other significant people in their lives that insist that you go see a doctor, and you're going to have to play that stupid game for a while. Over how many years is this awakening going to take? Can't tell you. Some people might say something, but I'm not going to say because I don't know. But I think the younger people, it's going to happen for them because I just see it more and more. And maybe the older people, maybe they're going to have an alarm clock go off, and maybe they won't. Maybe the old people are just simply going to live out their lives the old-fashioned way and drop dead. So, maybe it's going to take 40 years for the old guard to die off. That's people my age who don't wake up. I hope that these people wake up right now, because it's very difficult living with these people.